Hello everyone, welcome to Vyas Edification. In this session we are going to discuss all NCERT and exercise question solutions related to chapter number 6 work energy and power and class 11. Clear? So in this session you will find detailed solution of each and every question, and also you will find here concept behind that question. Clear? So actually we will try to understand theory behind that question. Clear? So definitely you will enjoy this session, so concentrate on the screen. We are going to start. Dear student, we are going to solve question number 6.1, and in this question it is given to you the sign of work done by a force on a body is important to understand. Okay, fine. State carefully if the following quantities are positive or negative. Clear? It means our objective here in this question is to find that in which case we will find work done is positive or work done is negative. Clear? So now concentrate on a screen. Now listen carefully. In the case number 1, or we can say case number A, it is given to you work done by a man in lifting a bucket out of a well by means of a rope tied to a bucket. Clear? So let us try to understand. Let's suppose here we have a well. Let's suppose this is a well, and let's suppose here we have a bucket like this. Clear? Let's suppose if I draw like this. Let's suppose here we have a bucket. Clear? And let's suppose this is a well. Clear? Now let's suppose here we have a person, and a person is actually pulling this bucket. Clear? So if here we have a person. Clear? This person is pulling this bucket. Clear? So in this question it is given to you work done by a man in lifting a bucket out of a well. Clear? Now we can say actually force this is exerted by a man in the vertical upward direction. Clear? And definitely we can say displacement of this bucket we also have in a vertical upward direction. Clear? It means we can say here direction of a force and direction of displacement of a bucket is same. Clear? And we know work done, this is given by dot product of force and displacement. Clear? So from here we can say this is F as cos of 0. Clear? So we can directly say here we will find positive work. Clear everyone? So in the case number A, I can say work done by a man in lifting a bucket out of a well. We can say this is having positive work. Clear everyone? Clear? Now we are going to discuss part number B. In part number B, it is given work done by gravitational force in the above case. Clear? So now dear student, we are going to solve question number 6.2, and in this question it is given to you a body of mass 2 kg. Clear? First let us try to understand this question. A body of mass 2 kg initially at rest, it moves under the action of an applied horizontal force of 7 Newton on a table with coefficient of kinetic friction, this is 0.1. Clear? Now we have to compare or we have to find here values of A, B, C and D. Clear? Now concentrate on a screen. In this question, let's suppose if we draw here a diagram. In this question it is given, let's suppose we have a block. Mass is given to you, this is twice kg. Clear? And it is given initially this block is at rest. Okay, fine. It moves under the action of an horizontal force. This is given to you 7 Newton. Clear? And coefficient of kinetic friction mu k, this one is given to you 0.1. Clear? So now we have to compute work done by the applied force in 10 seconds. Clear? So first, can we calculate here what is kinetic friction acting? Yes. So we can write like this, Fk value, this is equal to mu k times of n. Clear? So coefficient of kinetic friction, this one is 0.1, and normal reaction we can say this is equal to twice g. So from here I can say 0.1. let's suppose I am taking value of g 10 meter per second square. So from here I can say this is value 2 Newton. Clear? So from here you can say we can write here net force. So net force I can say 7 minus 2, here we have 5 Newton. Clear everyone? Now actually we have to find work done by applied force in 10 seconds. It means first we calculate here acceleration. Clear? So how can we write acceleration of this block? Acceleration is given by net force, that is 5 divided by mass. Mass we can say 2 2.5 meter per second square. Clear? So can we calculate here, because our objective is what, to find work done. In work done we will find force term and the displacement term. So definitely we can say acceleration is constant. It means I can apply equation of motion. So S equal to, I can say this is 0 plus 1 by 2 80 square. Clear? So 1 by 2 we can say acceleration. Acceleration we can say this is 5 by 2 and we can say t square. T square means we can say 10 seconds. So this is 10 square. Clear? So we can write like this, 5 by 4 into this is 100. I can say this is 25. So this one is 125 Newton. Clear? So we can say displacement of a particle we have 125 Newton. Clear? So now can we calculate here? Now we are going to discuss question number 6.3, and in this question it is given to you, given in a figure. These figures are given to you. Clear? So in this figure it is given some potential energy function is given to you in a one dimension. Okay, fine. The total energy of a particle is indicated by cross on the ordinate axis. In each case specify the region if any which the particle cannot be found for a given energy. Clear? So directly come to the question. Clear? So my dear student, here we have 4 different graphs are given to you. Clear? And in 4 graphs actually total energy is indicated by a cross. Clear? You can see in all 4 graphs we have cross. You can see this cross is indicating total energy of total energy. Clear? And this graph is given to you between potential energy and the x. Clear? Now we have to find in which time, in which position interval we will not find a particle that is situated. Clear? So let us first try to understand the concept. Concept is here total energy. This is given by, I can say, kinetic energy plus potential energy. Clear? So how can we write kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is written by total energy minus potential energy. Clear? So now you know very well that kinetic energy is always positive. Clear? Because mass of a body is positive. Clear? And if we talk about speed, or we can say magnitude of velocity, this is also positive. So kinetic energy you will always find positive, and this is possible only when we have total energy is greater than potential energy. Clear to everyone? Now let us try to analyze each and every graph. So first, if I discuss here part number A or graph number A, we can say in this situation whenever we have x greater than A, listen very carefully. Whenever we are talking about x greater than A, at that time you can say that we can say potential energy is greater than total energy. Clear? So whenever we have potential energy greater than total energy, that means we will find kinetic energy negative, and kinetic energy negative, it is not possible. It means we can say particle, the possibility of a particle is to be found in this region, this is not possible. Clear? Because we are getting negative kinetic energy, and negative kinetic energy does not exist. Clear? So definitely we can see in x greater than A, particle not found. Particle not found. So what about minimum energy, we can say? So definitely we can say if we talk about x equal to A, we can say minimum energy that we can find in this situation, this is equal to 0. Clear? So I can directly say E minimum, here we have 0. It is possibility that minimum energy we can take 0 joule. Clear? Now dear student, we are going to solve question number 6.4, and in this question it is given to you the potential energy function for a particle executing linear simple harmonic motion is given by Vx equal to kx square by 2. Clear? So actually you can say here potential energy versus x graph is given to you, and you can say this is parabola. Clear? Now one relation is given. This relation is given to you Vx, and this is equal to kx square by 2. Clear? This relation is given to you. Clear? And where k is what? K is, we can say, that is force constant of an oscillator. Clear? And value of k, this is also given to you. This one we have 0.5 Newton per meter. Clear? Now in this question it is given, we have to show a particle of total energy 1 joule moving under this potential must turn back when it reaches x equal to this one. Clear? So first we will write here general term or general expression of a total energy. So I can say total energy, this is given by kinetic energy plus potential energy. Clear? Kinetic energy is given by half of mv square plus I can say this is given by 1 by 2 kx square according to question. Clear? Now in this question it is given a particle is having total energy 1 joule when it turns back. Turns back means we can say because this is an oscillator. So in oscillation we will find particle velocity 0 at extreme conditions, or we can say at extreme positions, x equal to minus a, x equal to plus a. Clear? But at that time we can see velocity is 0 but acceleration is maximum. Clear? So if we talk about velocity at extreme position, I can say velocity is 0, it means I can say kinetic energy is 0. Clear to everyone? Yes. So total energy I can say this is 1 joule and this is given by 1 by 2 kx square. Clear? So I can say 1 by 2 value of k. Value of k I can say 0.5. So this is 1 by 2. I can say this is x square and this one is equal to 1. Clear? So from here I can say I can write like this, x square by 4 this is equal to 1. So x square equal to plus minus I can say this is 2 whole square, or you can say like this. Clear? So from here you can say x equal to we can say plus minus 2. It means we are getting two position at which we will find value of velocity 0, or we can say total energy 1 joule. Clear? So we can say here you can say this x equal to plus 2 and let's suppose this is x equal to minus 2. Here we are getting potential energy. This potential energy is equal to total energy. Why? Because I can say now we are going to discuss question number 6.5, and in this question it is given to you answer the following. Clear? Now A, B, C, and actually we have 4 part A, B, C and D. So first we are discussing about only part A. So in part number A the question is given to you, the casing of a rocket in flight burns up due to friction. Okay. Now at what expense is the heat energy required for burning is obtained, the rocket or the atmosphere? So actually the situation is given to you. Let's suppose we have a rocket and that rocket is actually moving under the influence of a gravity. Clear? And definitely we know in atmosphere we have friction, air friction is also there, and due to that friction we can say the casing of that rocket is actually burning. So question is asking to you from where that energy we are getting. We are getting that energy from atmosphere or we are getting that energy from rocket itself. So my dear student, actually we are getting that energy from rocket itself. How? Actually whenever casing is burning, it means we can say that mass of that rocket is actually decreasing, because definitely when casing is burning it means mass is going we can say that is mass is going obsolete, or we can say mass is going to be burned. Yes or no? So it means we can say that mass is actually converting into energy. Clear everyone? Or we can also say because the kinetic energy and potential energy is also changing with the rocket, so from here we can say that energy is getting. Clear? So conclusion is here. Conclusion is very simple. The energy that is required to burn that casing is actually gained by rocket itself. Clear? So this is all about part number A. Clear? Now if I discuss part number B, in this question it is given comets move around the sun in highly elliptical orbits. Fine. The gravitational force on comet due to the sun is not normal to comet's velocity in general. Fine, this is clear. Yet the work done by gravitational force over every complete orbit of comet is 0. Why? Clear? So let's suppose I am saying, let's suppose you can assume this is an elliptical path. Clear? Let's suppose here we have a sun. Let's suppose here we have a comet. Clear? So definitely we can say if we join these two, clear, comet and the sun, I can say gravitational force is acting in this direction and velocity is acting in this direction. And definitely at each and every point velocity is changing. Clear? So now you can say, sir, at any time we will not find the force is perpendicular to velocity. Clear? How can we say work done is 0? Now you can say actually this gravitational force that is acting between comet and the sun, it is a conservative force, and we can say if this is now dear student, we are going to discuss question number 6.6, and in this question it is given to you underline the correct alternative. Clear? Here A, B, C and D 4 statements are given to you, and in these statements we have to recognize that which part or which one of the particular statement is correct. Clear? So now we are going to discuss each and every statement one by one. So concentrate on a screen. Now we can say number A part, when a conservative force does positive work on a body, the potential energy of a body, it increases or decreases or remains same. Clear? So now we know that actually we know one result, that work done by conservative forces, it should be equal to minus times of change in potential energy. Clear? So now I can see, because it is given in a question, a conservative forces is doing positive work. Clear? Conservative forces are doing positive work. It means I can say this one is positive. Clear? So now if we are talking about potential energy, so definitely I can say when work done is positive, it means we can write here this is equal to minus times of U final minus U initial. Clear? So I can say here we find U initial minus U final, this one is positive. Clear? So directly we can say initial potential energy we are having more compared to final one. Clear? It means I can say potential energy, if we talk about potential energy of a body, it decreases. Clear to everyone? So this one is clear. Clear? Now we are going to discuss part number B. Listen carefully. In part number B, it is given to you, work done by a body against friction always result in a loss of kinetic and potential energy. Clear? So my dear student, we know friction is a non-conservative force, and whenever a non-conservative force act on a body, definitely we can say there is some loss of energies to be there, or we can say kinetic energy, we always say kinetic energy decreases. Clear to everyone? So it means I can say work done by a body against friction always result in a loss of kinetic energy. Clear? So I can say here we can say correct answer we have, that is loss in kinetic energy. Clear to everyone? Done. Okay, now you can say, sir, actually we know work done equal to minus times of change in potential energy. So why we are not writing that one about potential energy? So my dear student, always keep in mind, we always define potential energy for conservative forces only. Clear? Whenever a non-conservative forces are acting on a body, potential energy not come into picture. Clear to everyone? Yes. So now we can say here we have an answer, kinetic energy. Now if we are going to discuss part number C, in part number C it is given to you, the rate of change of total momentum of many particle system is proportional to. Clear? So actually we can say according to Newton's second law of motion, we can say external force that is acting on a body, it is given by rate of change of momentum. Clear? So directly we can say if we are talking about rate of change of momentum, then we can say it is proportional to external force acting on that system. Clear to everyone? Done. Now if we talk about part number D, so in part number D we can say in an inelastic collision of two bodies. Now listen carefully. Whenever we are discussing about inelastic collision, in inelastic collision we can say total linear momentum and total energy of a system, we can say that remain constant. But if we talk about kinetic energy, so kinetic energy does not remain same, or kinetic energy of a system it decreases, or we can say that initial kinetic energy is not equal to final kinetic energy of a system. Clear? So in this question it is given, in an inelastic collision of two bodies, the quantities which do not change after the collision are, so we can say total kinetic energy, this changes. Yes, total linear momentum. Always keep in mind, either we are talking about elastic collision or inelastic collision, total linear momentum does not changes, as well as we can say total energy of a system, it always remains constant. Clear to everyone? So this is a basic condition for inelastic collision. So this is all about this question. Now students, we are going to discuss question number 6.7, and in this question it is given to you, state if each of the following statement, this is given here, this is true or false. Clear? So 4 statements are given to you, A, B, C and D, and we have to find which one is true and which one is false. Clear? So now concentrate. In part number A, it is given to you in an elastic collision. Always keep in mind, first of all, try to understand what is elastic collision. So in an elastic collision, we can say total linear momentum as well as total kinetic energy as well as total energy of a system that always remain constant. Clear? So now we can say yes, one more condition before the collision and after the collision. Clear? So statement number A is given, in an elastic collision of two bodies, the momentum and energy of each body is conserved. That is wrong. Clear? Momentum and energy of a particular body, it may changes, but if we are talking about a system, that we can say total momentum of that system that remain constant. For example, let's suppose I am saying to you, here we have a ball. Let's suppose this is again a ball. It is having initial velocity u1. Let's suppose this is u2. Let's suppose after collision we are saying this is having velocity v1. So we can say this is v2. Let's suppose I am assuming mass m1. This is m2. Clear? So we can say m1 mass is here. This is m2 mass. Clear? So if I am talking about initial momentum, so initial momentum I can say that initial momentum of a first body, this is m1 u1. Clear? But if I am talking about final momentum of a first body, this is m1 v1. Clear? So from here you can see individual linear momentum of a body that changes. Clear? But if I am talking about a system, I can say initial momentum is given by m1 u1 plus m2 u2, and we can say final momentum we have m2 v2. Clear? So if I am assuming this as a system, at that time I can say total linear momentum of a system before collision and after collision, this remains same. It means we can say this is equal to this one. Clear everyone? So actually this statement is true or false. We can say this statement is false, because the momentum and the energy of total system, we can say the total momentum, or we can say total energy of a given system, that always remains constant. Clear? Or conserved. So we can say here this is false. We can say this one is false. Clear to everyone? Yes. Now we are going to discuss part number B. So in part number B, it is given to you, total energy of a system is always conserved no matter what internal and external force on the body are present. Always keep in mind, total energy of the system is always conserved whenever there is no external force is acting. Clear? Or we can say total energy of a system is always conserved when only conservative forces are acting. For example, if I say, let's suppose a friction force is acting. So friction force is a non-conservative force. So when non-conservative force act, definitely we can say total energy of a system is not conserved. Clear? So I can say statement number B, this is also false. Clear to everyone? Now we are going to discuss part number C, and it is given, work done in the motion of a body over a closed loop is 0 for every force in a nature. Again we have a false statement, because we know, let's suppose on any system when conservative forces are acting. Clear? So when conservative forces are acting, we can say that work done by conservative force in a closed loop, that is always equal to 0. But if non-conservative forces are acting, at that time you cannot say that the net work done is 0. Clear? Again I can say here this statement is also false. Clear? Now we are going to discuss part number D, and in this statement it is given, in an inelastic collision the final kinetic energy is always less than initial kinetic energy of a system. Absolutely correct. Clear? Because in an inelastic collision, some of the energy is lost in the form of heat, in the form of sound. Clear? And we can say in an inelastic collision, we can say total energy, and the total linear momentum of a system that remains conserved, but kinetic energy before collision and after collision that not remain same. Clear everyone? So now we can say this statement we have true. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.8, and in this question it is given to you, answer carefully with regions. Number A, B, C and D. 4 statements are given. So first we are going to discuss statement number A, and in this statement it is given to you, in an elastic collision of two billiard balls is the total kinetic energy conserved during short time of collision of a ball when they are in a contact. Clear? Let us try to understand. Let's suppose we are taking here, let's suppose we have these two balls. Clear? Let's suppose this is ball A, we can say this is ball B. Let's suppose whenever they are colliding to each other, this is A and B, and after collision let's suppose they are going, let's suppose this is A and let's suppose this is B. Clear? We can say here, let's suppose initial velocity is u1, initial velocity u2. I can say after collision we can say this is v1 and this is v2. Clear? So in statement number A it is given total kinetic energy conserved during short time of collision. So let's suppose we are assuming whenever two billiard balls are colliding and time taken is the delta t. Clear? So whenever we have a very short interval of time, now we have to find the kinetic energy in this situation is also conserved or not. Clear? So my dear student, always keep in mind kinetic energy before collision, kinetic energy of a system before collision and after collision, that remains same, that is absolutely correct. But what about during collision? Clear? Always keep in mind whenever two bodies comes close to each other, whenever they collides, at that time we can say there is some deformation in the shape is to be taking place. It means I can say here the kinetic energy of that balls is actually convert here in a potential energy. Clear? So I can say during collision process or for a short interval of time, I can say that kinetic energy not remains conserved. Yes, although we can say before collision and after collision kinetic energy of a system remain same. Clear? So we can say again we can say no, my answer is here no. Clear everyone? Now if we talk about part number B, is the total linear momentum conserved during short interval of time? Yes, always keep in mind, yes, definitely kinetic energy is converting into potential energy during the short interval of time, but always keep in mind total momentum always remains conserved. Clear? So I can say yes, linear momentum conserved, yes. Clear? Now what are the answer when we are talking about inelastic collision? So actually we know in elastic collision linear momentum, kinetic energy and the total energy of a system always remains constant. But what about inelastic collision? In inelastic collision we can see linear momentum and the total energy of a system that remains conserved, but if we talking about kinetic energy of a system that not remain same. Clear? So now we can see if we are talking about inelastic collision, in inelastic collision again we can say during collision and after collision the kinetic energy of a total system that not remain same as before collision. Clear? But what about linear momentum? So linear momentum always remains conserved, either we are talking about elastic collision or inelastic collision. Clear to everyone? So a very simple question we have, actually it just depend on a concept. There is only one difference between elastic and inelastic. In inelastic collision, kinetic energy after collision of a system that not remains same as the previous one or before collision. Clear? That's you should keep in your mind. Now if we talk about part number D, so I can say in part number D, if the potential energy of two billiard balls depends only on separation between their centers. Clear? So let's suppose I am taking this is a ball number 1 and let's suppose this is ball number 2. I can say here we have distance that is small r. Clear? So if we are talking about two balls and having separation distance that is small r, we can say is the collision elastic or inelastic? Always keep in mind, whenever we are placing two balls at a particular separation distance r, clear, and it is also given an NCERT that we have to ignore gravitational force that is acting on these two balls, because that is the external force. So if we ignore gravitational force, at that time we can say there is no external force acting on this system. Clear? So we can say its total linear momentum remains conserved. Clear to you? So now we can say if potential energy depends only on separation distance between centers. So we can say whenever we are talking about potential energy, clear, and no external force is acting, it means directly we can say here conservative forces are acting, and whenever conservative forces are acting, we can say that collision that between this we can say here the forces that is acting conservative in nature, that's all. Clear? So whenever conservative force is here, we can say we are talking about elastic collision. Clear? So now we can say here we have answer elastic collision. Clear? Clear to everyone? So this is all about this question. Now dear student, we are going to discuss question number 6.9, and in this question it is given to you a body is initially at rest. Clear? So it is given a body is having initially at rest, it means initial velocity is 0. Clear? It undergoes one dimensional motion with constant acceleration. Clear? So whenever we have constant acceleration, we can apply equation of motion. Clear? Now it is given power delivered to it at time t is proportional to. Clear? So now we know actually there is a relation between power and the force. We can see power is given by force into dot product of force and velocity. Clear? Because acceleration is constant, so I can say we can apply this equation of motion v equal to u plus at. Clear? So I can say initial velocity we have 0, acceleration is given to ua, and the time taken is t. Clear? So from here we can say v, this is equal to at. Clear? So v is equal to at. Clear? So now we can say force we can say because acceleration is constant, so I can say the mass is also constant, so I can say f equal to mass into acceleration, and we are assuming force acting and the velocity vector both are in the same direction, so I can say this is v. Clear? So I can write like this ma, and v is equal to, this is equal to at. Clear? So from here we can say power, this is given by we can say power is given by ma square t. Clear? So directly we can say whenever we have constant acceleration, power is directly proportional to t. Clear? So from here which option is correct? We can say option number 2. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.10, and in this question it is given to you a body is moving with unidirectionally under the influence of a source of constant power. It means power delivered that is given to you constant. Its displacement in time t is proportional to. Clear? Okay. So now we can say a body is moving unidirectionally under the influence of a source of constant power. Clear? So if I apply here work energy theorem, because our objective in this question is to find displacement as a function of time, for that one we need velocity. Clear? So I am actually applying here work energy theorem. So according to work energy theorem, I can say net work, this should be equal to change in kinetic energy. Clear? We can say final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. Okay, net work done. So I can say net work done. So we can also write this is p multiply t, power multiply time. Clear? And we can say, let's suppose any body that is starting from rest, I am assuming. So when body is starting from rest, I can say this is half of mv square final kinetic energy, and initial kinetic energy we have 0. Clear? So from here I can write like this v square, this is given by 2 pt divided by m. Clear? So I can say value of v, this is given by under root of twice pt divided by m. Clear? So v is given by under root of 2 pt by m. Clear? So I can now write like this v equal to what? This is dx by dt. Clear? v is dx by dt. Clear? And we can say this is under root of twice pt divided by m. Clear? So now we can also write like this dx, this is equal to under root of, I am taking 2p by m constant outside, and I can say this t to the power half and multiplied with dt. Clear? So if I integrate both sides, I can see, let's suppose displacement we have x and under root 2p by m. Clear? And t to the power half. So what is integration of t to the power half? This is t to the power 3 by 2 divided by 3 by 2. Clear to everyone? So now we can see, just a minute. Now we can see value of x, we can value of x, this is equal to under root of 2p by m and multiplied with 2 by 3, and we can say this is t to the power 3 by 2. Clear? T to the power 3 by 2. Clear? So we can say displacement, it is directly proportional to 3 by 2 power of a time. Clear? So now we can say which option is correct. Directly we can say option number 3. This is correct. Clear? So like this we can calculate displacement as a function of time when power is a constant. Clear? Now dear student, we are going to discuss question number 6.11, and in this question it is given to you a body constrained to move along z axis of a coordinate system and is subjected to a constant force capital F. This is given by F equal to minus I k plus 2 j k plus 3 k cap Newton. Clear? Where I cap, j cap and k cap are unit vectors along x, y and z axis of a system respectively. Fine. What is work done by this force in moving the body at a distance of 4 meter along z axis? Clear? A very simple question we have. In this question, force acting on a body, or it is given to you F vector, this is equal to minus I cap plus 2 j cap plus 3 k cap, and this is given to you in Newton. Clear? Displacement vector, this is given 4 times because this is magnitude 4 times along z axis. So I can say this is 4 k cap. Clear? So can we calculate here work done? Yes. So work done is calculated by, this is F dot S. Clear? So what is dot product of force and displacement? I can see minus I cap plus 2 j cap plus 3 k cap, and I am taking here dot product. Clear? Dot product of we can say S. S is what? 4 times of k cap. Clear? Now we can see I dot k 0. Clear? J dot k, this is also 0. K dot k, this is 1. Clear? So 3 multiply 4, we have 12, and we can see k dot k 1. So final answer we are getting 12 joule. Clear? So work done by this force in moving a body at a distance of 4 meter along z axis given by 12 joule. Clear? Now dear student, we are going to discuss question number 6.12, and in this question it is given an electron and proton are detected in a cosmic ray experiment, the first with kinetic energy 10 kilo electron volt. It means kinetic energy of an electron, this is given to you kinetic energy of electron, this is given to you 10 kilo electron volt. Clear? And we can see kinetic energy of proton, this is given in this question, that is 100 kilo electron volt. Fine. Then it is given which one is faster. Okay, the electron or a proton obtain the ratio of their speeds. Clear? So actually we can see, we can write like this, half of me VE square, this is given by 10 kilo electron volt. I can say 10 into 10 to the power 3 electron volt. 1 electron volt we have 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule. Clear everyone? So we can write like this. Clear? Now again we can say half of MP Vp square, means this is kinetic energy of a proton, and it is given here, that is 100 kilo electron volt. Clear? Yes. So we can say 100 into 10 to the power 3 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 90. Our objective in this question is to compare velocity or the speed of electron and the proton, and as well as we have to find ratio of V over Vp. Clear? So now we can see, if we divide here, divide these two equations, we can say half and half cancel out, and Me over Mp, and we can say Ve square divided by Vp square, this should be equal to 1.6 cancel, minus 19 cancel, 10 to the power 3 cancel, we can say this is equal to 1 by 10 only. Clear? So now we can see mass of electron, this is given 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 divided by mass of a proton, mass of a proton, we can see 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 multiplied Ve square over Vp square, this is equal to 1 by 10. Clear? So Now we can say, we can also write like this, VE square over VP square multiplied 10 to the power minus 31, 10 to the power minus 27. So 10 to the power minus 4, clear, and 9.1 and 1.6. So almost we can say 1.6 multiply 6, that is 9.6. So approximately I can say this is, let's suppose I am saying approximately, because multiplying I am here, this is 6, clear. So 6 into 10 to the power minus 4 and multiply this one, V square over Vp square, this is equal to 1 by 10, clear. From here we can see V square over Vp square, this is given by 1 upon 6 into 10 to the power minus 3, or you can say this is 1000 divided by 6, clear. So from here if you take square root, we can say, we can write like the 10 under root 10 and divide by under root of 6, clear. So directly you can say, from here we can observe electron is having greater speed compared to proton, clear. It means we can see that electron is moving faster compared to proton, clear. Yes or no? Yes, clear. And what is ratio? You can say ratio is given by under root of 1000 by 6, clear, and we can take here square root also, clear. So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.13, and in this question it is given to you, a raindrop of radius 2 mm falls from a height of 500 meter above ground, clear. So now let's suppose I am taking this as a ground, clear. Let's suppose I am having this drop, let's suppose this is drop, radius is given to you twice mm, clear. It falls from a height 500 meter above ground, clear. So let's suppose this distance that we are taking here 500 meter, clear. It falls with decreasing acceleration due to viscous resistance of the air at half of its original height, clear. So let's suppose at a certain situation this reaches up to this point, clear, and this is given here, this is we have 250 meter, clear. This one is 250 meter, clear. So we can say for the 250 meter distance, this drop is actually suffering some resistance due to viscous force, clear, and after that it is moving with a uniform speed, clear. It is moving with uniform speed from here. So for the rest of the journey it will move with uniform speed. Now what is our objective in this question? Our objective in this question is to calculate work done by gravitational force on the drop in the first and the second half of a journey, clear. So I can say that work done by gravitational force in first half and second half, that will be same, because whenever we are talking about only gravitational force, so gravitational force is acting in a vertical downward direction, either we are talking first half or second half, clear. So I can say this value will be constant and this should be equal to what? Force into displacement. I can say total force is acting, that is mg, clear. And what about displacement? So I can say displacement is actually same, I can say this is 250 meter, clear. So now our objective in this question is to calculate mass of this raindrop, clear. So how can we calculate? Actually we know mass is given by density into volume, clear. So density we can say density into volume 4 by 3 pi r cube multiplied with g, and it is multiplied with 250, clear. So now density of a water we have raindrop 10 to, that is 1000 kilogram per meter cube. This one is 4 by 3, we can say 22 by 7, and radius. Now we can say radius, this is given 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 whole cube and multiplied with 10 into, I can say this is 250, clear to everyone. So now we can say this one is what? We can say 10 to the power 3 into 4 by 3 into 22 by 7 and this one, clear. Now if we calculate it, from here we will find total work done in one part of a journey, clear to you. Total journey in total work done in one part of journey, clear. So now I am going to calculate. So from here we can say, if we simplify it, how can we simplify? We can write like this, the this is 88 divided by, I can say 21, clear, and multiply 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 4, 10 to the power 5, clear, and this is 10 to the power minus 9, clear. So 3, 4, 5, clear, and we can say 9, so I can say 10 to the power minus 4, clear. Then I can say this is equal to multiplied with 8, clear, and here we have multiplied with 25, clear. So from here we can write like this: work done in one part of a journey, I can say that is W first, this is given by 88 by 21 into 8 into 25 into 10 to the power minus 4, clear. So from here you can see approximately I am taking, because approximately taking this is equal to 4, because 21 multiply 4 84, so approximately I am taking 4, this is we can say 200 and multiply 10 to the power minus 4. So from here we can say approximately I am taking this is 8 into 10 to the power minus 2, clear. So from here you can say this is 0.08 joule, clear. So this is work done by gravitational force in one part of a journey, clear. So now what about total work done? If we are talking about total work done by gravitational force in complete journey, clear. So I can see total work done, this is given twice of work done in each part, clear. So if we multiply it with 2, I can say this is 2 into 0.08, this one is 0.16 joule, clear to everyone. Now next it is given this one is clear, what is work done by resistive force in entire journey, clear. So now how can we calculate resistive force? So for that one actually we can utilize work energy theorem, clear. So if we utilize work energy theorem, we can say net work done, or we can say work done by all forces, it may be conservative, non-conservative, external, internal, we can say work done by all forces, this should be equal to change in kinetic energy, clear. Now we can say work done by conservative force, we have 0.16 joule, 0.16 plus I can say here we have non-conservative force, that is resistive force, so WR, this is equal to half of mv square, clear. Mass is given to you, we have just calculated, you can put that value here, and v square, v means we can say here this is given 10 meter per second, so this is 10 square, clear. So from here you can I am telling you the value of mass, so value of mass is given to you, this is 32 divided by 3 pi into 10 to the power minus 4 into 10 square, clear to everyone? Yes, clear. Actually this is 10 to the power minus 6, just you can calculate whatever we write here, value of expression of mass you can find out, clear. So we can say this is 0.16 plus WR, clear. So now if you calculate resistive force, clear, then you will find approximately, I am just telling you this is an approximation, and you will get here minus, in minus you will find work done 0.162 joule, clear. So actually most important part is not a calculation in this question, most important part is here how can you proceed for that question. First of all keep in mind, either raindrop is going with certain acceleration or retardation or a constant velocity, work done by gravitational force in each part of journey always remains same, clear. But if we are talking about total journey, and at that time we will consider total work done by conservative forces in both the parts, clear. After that if we want to find that what is work done by resistive force, so there is no other parameters are given to you, so but one parameter is given, final velocity of that raindrop when it touches the ground, clear. It means now I can apply equation of a motion, and equation of motion when we apply we can find out resistive work done by resistive force, clear. So this is all about this question. We are going to discuss question number 6.14, and in this question it is given a molecule in a gas container hits a horizontal wall with a speed 200 meter per second and with making an angle 30 degree with normal, clear. So I can say, let's suppose I am taking here this is a vertical wall, let's suppose I am taking this is a vertical wall, clear, and I am assuming this is a wall, this is a very heavy wall, clear. And whenever we have heavy wall, let's suppose I am assuming the mass of this wall is capital M and velocity v2, let's suppose this is 0, clear. Now in this question it is given a molecule of a gas hits a container, this is given container, we are assuming this is a wall of a container, clear, hits a horizontal wall hits a horizontal wall with a speed, a horizontal wall is given to you. Clear? So there is no problem, we can draw diagram like this. Clear? Let's suppose this is a wall of a container. Clear? This is a horizontal wall. Clear? A molecule in a gas. So let's suppose we can say here we have a molecule. This molecule is moving in this direction with a certain certain speed. This is given 200 meter per second. It is making an angle 30 degree with normal. So I can say when this strike to this point, this is making an angle 30 degree. Clear? And rebound with same speed. So we can see this is again rebounding in this direction with same speed. Clear? So I can say here this is again having speed 200 meter per second. Now we have to find, is momentum is conserved in this collision? So my dear student, always keep in mind, either we are talking about elastic collision or we are talking about inelastic collision. Either we are talking about elastic collision or inelastic collision. We can say linear momentum always conserved. Linear momentum always conserved. Always conserved. Now we can say actually there is no external force is acting if I consider this molecule and this container wall as a system. Clear? So I can say that if we are talking about elastic or inelastic collision, linear momentum is always conserved. Clear? Now we have to calculate here that this collision is elastic or inelastic. Clear? So first we can find here initial kinetic energy. So initial kinetic energy, this is given by half of mv initial whole square. Clear? So I can say half m. So let's suppose if nothing is given, I am assuming mass of a molecule is small m. Clear? And it is moving with 200 meter per second. So this is initial kinetic energy. Clear? We can also find here final kinetic energy. This is given by half m and we can say this is 200 square. Clear? Now you can see initial kinetic energy and final kinetic energy is same. Clear? It means we can say this is a part of elastic collision. Clear? So we can say this one is elastic collision. Clear to everyone? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.15, and this question is given to you. A pump on the ground floor of a building can pump up water to fill a tank of volume 30 meter cube. Clear? It means volume of a water, this is given 30 meter cube in 15 minutes. So I can say value of t, this is given by 15 minutes. So we can write like this, 15 into 60 and this is second. Clear? Okay, fine. If the tank is 40 meter above ground, it means we can say value of h, this is given to you 40 meter, and as well as it is also given efficiency of a pump we have 30%. So efficiency of a pump, this is 30%. Clear? How much electric power is consumed by pump? Clear? So listen carefully. If we are talking about efficiency, efficiency is what? We always know efficiency is given by this is output upon input. So from here can we calculate? Clear? Because our objective here is to calculate how much electric power is consumed by pump. It means what is input power. So now I can write like this, input power, this is given by output power divided by efficiency. Clear? Efficiency is given to you 30%. So I can say this is P naught divided by 3 by 10. Clear? So from here I can say this is equal to 10 by 3 and this is output power. Clear? So from where we will get output power? We can say output power, we can say W by T. Now actually it is also given tank is situated at a height 40 meter from ground. So this one is mgh divided by T. Clear? Now m, mass. So we have to calculate mass. So from where we calculate mass is given by, I can say density into volume. Clear? Density of a mass, this density of a water, this is 10 to the power 3, and what about volume? Volume we can say this is given 30 meter cube. Clear? So now we can say, we can write like this, mass is 30 into 10 to the power 3, value of g I am taking 10, h is given to you 40 meter divided by time is given to you 15 meter, we can convert into seconds. Clear? From here you can say we can say this is 2 and we can say this one is 30. Clear? I can say this one and this one also cancelled out. So from here we can say output power, this is given by 4 by 3. Clear? 4 by 3 into 10 to the power 4, and we can say this is in watt. Clear? So we can say output power is given by 4 by 3 into 10 to the power 4 watt. Clear? Now our objective in this question is to calculate output power. Clear? So input power we can say this is 10 by 3 times of P naught. So we can say P input, this is given by 10 by 3 into P naught. P naught is given 4 by 3 into 10 to the power 4. Clear? So from here you can say, we can write like this, 40 by 9 into 10 to the power 4 watt. Clear? Or we can say this is 4 point, we have again 4.4 into 10 to the power 4 watt. So we can say this is input power that is given to a pump. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.16, and in this question it is given two identical ball bearing in contact with each other. You can see this is ball number 2 and 3. Clear? And resting on a frictionless table are hit head on by another ball bearing of same mass moving initially with speed v. Okay, fine. If collision is elastic, now it is given here we have elastic collision, then which of the following is a possible result after collision? Clear? Now how can we solve this question? So actually the most important term is here elastic collision. Clear? So actually we know in elastic collision we have same linear momentum of a system, as well as we can say total kinetic energy of that system always remains conserved. Clear? But if we talk about linear momentum of a system, so linear momentum is also conserved in an inelastic collision also. Clear? That's why the most important parameter that we can check here, that is total kinetic energy of a system before collision and after collision. Clear? So now I am going to write here first kinetic energy before collision. So I can say K initial is given by half of m v square plus I can say half twice m, and I can say both are at rest. Clear? So I can say this is 0. Clear? So from here we can see, we can write like this, half of mv square. Clear to everyone? Yes. Now if we talk about different cases. Clear? So first if I calculate case number 1. Clear? So in case number 1 I can say, let's suppose in case number 1 this first particle is coming to a rest and both particle is going with the velocity v by 2. So at that time you can say 1 by 2, I am writing here K final. Clear? So 1 by 2, I can say kinetic energy due to number 1 is 0. Clear? Directly I am writing for 2 and 3. So twice m, and we can say this v by 2 whole square. Clear? This is v square by 4, and I can say this one is cancelled out, or you can also write like this 1 by 2 m. Here we can write this is v square by 2. Clear? So from here we can say this is 1 by 4 mv square. Clear? So in case number 1 you can see that final kinetic energy is not same as initial kinetic energy. Clear? It means we can say case number 1 is not possible. Clear everyone? So this is not possible. Now we are going to check case number 2nd. Now we are going to check case number 2nd. So in case number 2nd I can say 1 and 2 both stick to each other and come to rest. It means velocity is 0, so its kinetic energy is 0. But now I am writing like this, K final equal to 1 by 2 mass of ball number 3, this is m, and we can say this is mv square. Clear? Now we can say yes, in case number 2nd we are getting final kinetic energy same as initial kinetic energy. Clear? It means definitely I can say this case is possible for an elastic collision. Clear? Now let's check case number 3rd also. Clear? Now so we can say in case number 3 again I can say that if we calculate here final kinetic energy, in this case it is given all the 3 balls are stick together. Clear? So we can say 1 by 2, I can say thrice m, and this is v by 3 whole square. Clear? So we can say 1 by 2, this is thrice m. Clear? And this is v square by 9. Clear? I can say this one is 3. So from here we can say 1 by 6 mv square. Clear? So I can write here that initial kinetic energy is not equal to final kinetic energy. Clear? It means I can say again here we are not getting elastic collision. Clear? So I can say only case number 2 is possible, other cases are not possible. Clear to everyone? Now dear student, we are going to discuss question number 6.17, and in this question it is given to you the bob capital A of a pendulum released from 30 degree to vertical hits another bob B of same mass at rest at a table as shown in a figure. Clear? Now we have to calculate how high does the bob A rises after the collision. Clear? Now first of all let us try to understand. Actually if we are concentrating on this bob, clear? So what are the external force acting? We can say here external force acting, that is gravitational force mg. Clear? It means we can say here, yes definitely you can say sir here we have a tension also, but tension we can treat as an internal force. Clear? And always keep in mind whenever this bob is going like this. Clear? So tension and direction of a displacement, that is always perpendicular to each other. So we can say work done by internal force is 0 in this case. Clear? So now we can say when this bob is moving under the influence of gravitational force, means under the influence of conservative force, at that time we can say its total energy remains conserved, or we can say mechanical energy conserved. So when mechanical energy is conserved, it means we can say here potential energy of this bob is converting into kinetic energy at position B. Clear? So directly you can say, let's suppose I am assuming this height h. Clear? So we can directly say mgh, this should be equal to half of mv square. So from here you can say we can write v equal to under root of twice gh. Clear? But what will happen if we assume collision is to be elastic? Clear? So definitely this bob will reach up to point B with certain velocity v, and because this bob is at rest, so when it will collides, when bob A collides with ball B, at that time we can say this A come to rest, and we can say this bob B, or we can say this ball that we situated at position B, it will move in the upward direction with the same height. Clear? So now we can say this will happen. Clear? Here we can say in the next situation what will happen, let us try to understand. In this situation you can say here we will find a bob. Clear? So this bob will come at rest, and finally I can say this ball B is moving with a certain velocity v. Clear? So this will happen whenever we are talking about elastic collision. Now you can say sir how this happen? You can apply here conservation of linear momentum, or you can also apply here conservation of energy, or we can say kinetic energy before collision and kinetic energy after collision, it should be same. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.18, and in this question it is given to you the bob of a pendulum is released from a horizontal position. Clear? So we can say, let's suppose I am assuming this as a bob. Clear? And let's suppose this is a point from where we are actually from with respect to this bob is actually rotating. Clear? So now we can say a bob of a pendulum is released from a horizontal position. Okay, if the length of a pendulum is 1.5 meter, length is given 1.5 meter, what is speed with which the bob arrives at lowermost point? So let's suppose after some time this reaches up to this point, definitely we can say here we have this length 1.5 meter. Clear? And we have to calculate here speed v. Clear? Now you can say when this bob will reaches point B from point number A, we can say this move under the influence of a gravity, and gravitational force is a conservative force, so you can apply conservation of mechanical energy, but here it is given that 5% of its initial energy is dissipated against air resistance. It means now you cannot say that potential energy of that bob is completely converted into kinetic energy. Clear? Actually you will write like this, that energy at B, it should be equal to 95% of energy at A. Clear to everyone? Because 5% of energy is dissipated. Clear? So now we can say half of m, I can say this is v square 95 by 100, and we can say this is equal to mgh. Clear? We can say m and m, this one is cancelled out. So from here we can say this is 190 by 100 and multiplied with g. I am taking g10 and value of h. Value of h you can say this is 1.5 meter, or we can say this is 3 by 2. Clear? So from here we can say or you can also write like this is 1.5. So directly we can say this is 15, this one and this one cancelled out, so 15 into 19 divided by 10, and this is v square. Clear? So from here you can see if we multiply 15 9, we can say 135, we have 13, so this is 2 divided by 10, so we can say 28.5. Clear? So can we calculate value of v? Yes, this is given by under root of 28.5. Now square root of 25, this is equal to 5, so approximately we can say 5 point something. So from here let's suppose I am saying 5.1 meter per second. Clear to everyone? So this is all about this question. Clear? Now student, we are going to discuss question number 6.19. Clear? In this question it is given to you a trolley of mass 300 kg carrying a sandbag of 25 kg is moving uniformly with a speed of 27 km per hour on a frictionless track. Clear? So now let's suppose we have a situation like this. We can say, let's suppose I am saying this is a ground, and let's suppose this is a frictionless surface. Clear? And we are having a trolley. So let's suppose this is a trolley. Let's suppose this is a trolley. Clear? Okay. A trolley of mass 300 kg carrying a sandbag of 25 kg. So let's suppose we place here a sandbag that is having mass 25 kg is moving uniformly with a speed of 27 km per hour. Clear? 27 km per hour, this is given to you, and this surface is given frictionless. This surface we have frictionless. Clear? Okay. After a while, sand start leaking out of a hole on the floor. Clear? Floor of a trolley. Okay. So now we can see, let's suppose there is some hole, and due to that hole we can say sand is actually going outside from this sandbag. Clear? And it is actually now it is start placing on a floor of a trolley. This is very important, floor of a trolley. At that time we have to find what is the speed of a trolley after entire sandbag is empty. Now listen carefully. Let's suppose if I consider this trolley and this sandbag. If I consider this trolley and this sandbag as a system. Clear? So at that time we can say there is no external force acting on this system. Clear? Now let's suppose there is some leak in the leakage of the sand we will find here, and let's suppose all the sand that is going on the floor of a trolley. At the same time again I can say all forces that is acting here, that is the internal forces. Clear? Here there is no external force is acting on that system. So we can say when there is no external force is acting, at that time momentum will remains conserved. Clear? It means initial momentum equal to final momentum. Initial momentum you can say capital M plus small m. Let's suppose it is going with the velocity 27 km per hour. So this should be equal to final total mass. Again we have capital M plus m because the sand is placed on the floor of a trolley. Clear? And let's suppose I am saying velocity is v dash. Now we can say because mass is same, so definitely we can say velocity also remains same. Clear to everyone? So in this question, what is the concept behind this question? Concept is very simple. Concept is here, whenever there is no external force acting on a system, we can say total linear momentum that remains conserved. Clear? Or we can say initial momentum, this should be equal to final momentum. Clear? So we can say there is no change in the speed of a trolley we will find, and finally we can see this is speed, this is 27 km per hour. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to solve question number 6.20, and in this question it is given to you a body of mass 0.5 kg travels in a straight line with a velocity this is given to you as a function of x. Clear? So velocity is given v, this is equal to a x to the power 3 by 2. Clear? Where a is a constant, value of that constant is given to you 5 per meter per second. Clear? Now our objective in this question is to calculate work done by net force during its displacement from x equal to 0 to x equal to 2. Clear? Now it means our objective here is to calculate work done. Work done equal to what? That is integration of f dx. Clear? So first our objective here is to calculate value of force. Clear? So how can we calculate force? Because mass is a constant, so directly we can say force equal to mass into acceleration. So first we will find here acceleration. So actually we know one relation, acceleration is given by v dv by dx. Clear? Now velocity is given by a x to the power 3 by 2, and I can say if I differentiate with respect to x, this is a x to the power 3 by 2. Clear? So from here you can say if we take a common, x to the power 3 by 2. Now if you differentiate x to the power 3 by 2 with respect to x, we can say 3 by 2 x to the power half. Clear? So now from here you can say 3 by 2 a square x to the power 3 by 2 and x to the power half. Clear to everyone? So from here we can say acceleration. Acceleration is given by 3 by 2, we can say a square, and x to the power, we can say 3 by 2 plus 1 by 2. This is 4 by 2. I can say this is square. Clear everyone? So from here we can say force. This is given by mass into acceleration. So mass is given, let's suppose m. So m a square x to the power 2. Clear everyone? Here we put value of a and we multiplied with mass. Clear? So can we calculate here work done? Yes. Work done is calculated by f dx. Clear? Integration f dx. We are assuming force and the displacement both are in a same direction, and we can put here limit of x from x 0 to 2. Clear? So now you can put value of f. Clear? In this formula. So we can say work done. Work done is given by value of f. This is 3 by 2 m a square x square dx, and I can say from 0 to 2. Clear? So we can say 3 by 2 m a square, I am taking common, this is x cube by 3 from 0 to 2. Now we can put here value. Always keep in mind that is acceleration, and we can say this a is a constant. Clear? So 3 by 2, mass of this body, it is given 1 by 2. Value of a, this is 5. So 5 multiply 5 multiply 1 by 3, and I can say this is 2 cube minus 0. Clear? So from here we can say this is 3 by 4 multiply 25 into 1 by 3 multiply 8. Clear? We can say this one and this one cancel out. We can say this one is 2. So from here you can say total work done is 50 joule. Clear to everyone? So net work done by the work done by net force, that is given by 50 joule. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to solve question number 6.21, and in this question it is given to you the blades of a windmill sweeps out a circle of area capital A. Clear? So now we can say, let's suppose I am assuming, let's suppose here we have a wind blade like this. For example, this is a wind blade. Clear? Let's suppose like this. Clear? Now it is given in a question, it is sweeping out an area that is capital A. Clear? So area that is given to you A. It is also given in part number A, if wind flows at a velocity capital V perpendicular to this circle. So let's suppose we are assuming the air is moving perpendicular to this area, that is with the velocity of capital V. Clear? Now we have to find what is mass of air passing through it in time t. Clear? So actually we know mass is given by density multiply volume. Clear? So density of air, so we are assuming, let's suppose density is rho. Now we are talking about volume. Volume we can say this is area and multiply distance covered in time t. Clear? So from here we can say mass, this is given by rho a v t. Clear? Now it is also given in part number B, what is kinetic energy of the air. Clear? So now we can calculate kinetic energy. Kinetic energy, this is given by half of m v square. Clear? From here we can say half m. Mass of a air that is passing in time t, this is given by rho a v t. Clear? And I can say this is v square. Clear? Always keep in mind this v is a volume. Clear? This v is a volume and this v we can say velocity. Clear? So from here we can say 1 by 2 rho a v cube multiply t. This is kinetic energy of an air that is going through in a time t or passing through this area in time t. Clear everyone? Yes. Now we can say, if we talk about part number C, clear? In part number C it is given windmill converts 25% of wind energy into electrical energy, okay, and area is given to you and velocity is also given, okay. Density of air is also given. What is electric energy produced? Clear? Now listen carefully. Actually, we can say this windmill is converting only 25% of its total energy. Clear? So I can directly write here output, energy output. Energy output. I can say this is 25% of total kinetic energy. So 25% means I can say 25 by 100, and value of kinetic energy given 1 by 2 rho A V cube multiply T. Clear? So from here we can say this is 1 by 4. I can say 1 by 8 rho A V cube multiply T. Clear? And we can say this is energy output. Energy output. Now what is our objective in part number C? Our objective is very clear, that what is electric power produced. Clear? So directly we can say power produced is given by work done per unit time. Clear? So now we can divide this expression with time. Rho A V cube T divided by T. I can say T and T is cancelled out. Clear? So electric power produced, this is given by 1 by 8 rho A V cube. Clear? Now in this question all other parameters are given. Now we can here put all the values. Clear? So now listen carefully. So if I talk about power, I can say 1 by 8 rho A V cube. Clear? 1 by 8 density of air, this is given 1.2 kilogram per meter cube. Okay, if we are talking about area, clear? Area is given, yes or no? Area given, this is 30, and velocity is given to you 36 kilometer per hour. We can convert in meter per second. So 36 multiply 5 by 18, I can say this is 10 meter per second. So 10, 10, 10. This is 1000. Clear? From here you can say this one is 2. We can say this is 4. I can say this is 15. Clear? From here we can say 10, this one, and this is 3. Clear? So from here you can say this is 45 multiply 100 watt. Clear? Or you can write like this, this is equal to 4.5 kilowatt. It means we can say this windmill is producing 4.5 kilowatt of power. Clear everyone? So like this we can solve this question. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now dear student, I am going to discuss question number 6.22, and in this question it is given to you a person trying to lose weight, lift a 10 kilogram mass and 1000 times to a height of 0.5 meter. Clear? So let's suppose I am having, let's suppose you can assume this is a 10 kg mass and I am lifting like this, and I am lifting up to 1000 times. Clear? So definitely my muscular energy actually converting in some amount of heat because I am doing some work. Clear? So now if we talk about part number A, in part number A it is given to you how much work does she do against gravitational force. So directly we can see work done, this is given by mgh, and because she is lifting 1000 times, so I can say this is n multiply mgh. Clear? So we can say 1000 multiply mass is given to you 10 kilogram, value of g we have 10, and what about h? Clear? So we can say this is equal to 0.5. Clear? So from here we can say this is equal to directly we can say this 10 and 10 is cancelled out, and this is 50,000. Clear? So total amount of work she is doing, that is 50,000 of joule. Clear? Now it is given that in part number B 3.8 into 10 to the power 7 joule of energy per kilogram, which is converted to mechanical energy only for 20% of efficiency. It means we can say if we are talking about energy output, so energy output is only 20% of a weight. So I can say 20% of 3.8 into 10 to the power 7. Clear? I can say this one we have 5. Clear? Or you can say this is 7.6. Clear? 7.6 into 10 to the power 6 joule. Clear? So we can say this much amount of energy that is available. Clear? So now we can say this much amount of energy required for 1 kilogram fat burn. Clear? So now we have the actually total amount of work is to be done, that is 50,000 joule. Clear? So how can we calculate? Directly we can say, if we talk about 76 into 10 to the power 5 joule, this is required for 1 kilogram. So for 50,000 joule of energy, total amount, that is how much fat that a dieter use up, we can say 1 upon 76 into 10 to the power 5 multiply, this is 50,000. Clear? So from here you can say, we can write like this, 5 divided by 76 multiply 10. Clear? So now we can say this is equal to 1 by we can say this is 12. Clear? If you write like this, we can say this is 152 kilogram. Clear? So we can say this much amount of fat that the dieter use up. Clear? Because actually she is doing 50,000 joule of work. Clear? And that energy is actually burning that much amount of fat. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now dear student, we are going to solve question number 6.23. In this question it is given to you, a family uses 8 kilowatt of power. Clear? A family uses 8 kilowatt of power. Fine. Direct solar energy is incident on horizontal surface at an average rate of 200 watt per square meter. Okay, fine. So now listen carefully. Let's suppose we are saying, we are assuming area that is capital A. Clear? So it is given here incident energy, that is 200 watt per square meter. So we can calculate here total energy. Clear? So total energy, this is given by 200 A. Clear? Now it is given only 20% of incident energy is useful for electrical energy. So total energy useful, we can say this is given by 20% of 200 watt. Clear? So we can say 200 A. So 20% of this much amount of energy that is useful. Clear? We can say this one cancelled out. So from here we can say this is 40 A. Clear? Now actually we can say total energy that is incidenting on the surface, this is 8 kilowatt. Clear? So I can say 40 A, this should be equal to 8,000. Clear? So we can write like this one and this one cancel out. So area A, we can say this is given by 200. Clear? So 200 meter square. Clear? So first part is asking to you, how large an area is needed to supply 8 kilowatt. So definitely I can say 200 meter square area that is required. Clear? Now it is also given in part number B, compare this area to the roof of a typical house. Clear? So let's suppose, I am assuming we don't know, let area of a plot on which the house is built, I am taking 20 into 15 meter square. Let's suppose 20 multiply 15 meter square we have. So let's suppose we have total area 300 meter square. Clear? For example. Clear? And let's suppose actually roof is having only 70% of this total area. Clear? So I can say total area available. I am just taking for example. Clear? So 70% of total area, it means I can say 7 by 10 into 300, and I can say this is equal to 210 meter square. Clear? So for a typical house, let's suppose this is the area that is available. Now in this question it is asking, compare this area to roof of a typical house. Clear? So I can say here we are getting area 200 and here we are getting 210. So if we find here A by A dash. Clear? So directly I can say 200 divided by 210. So from here we can say we are getting this area 20 by 21. Clear to everyone? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.24, and in this question it is given to you, a bullet of mass 0.012 kilogram and horizontal speed 70 meter per second strikes a block of wood of mass 0.4 kg and instantly come to rest with respect to the block. Clear? It means situation is given to you like this. Let's suppose I am assuming here we have a wooden block. Let's suppose this is wooden block. Clear? Let's suppose this is wooden block, and I am assuming here, let's suppose this is a bullet, clear? Mass of a bullet is given to you, let's suppose I am assuming this is small m and mass of this wooden box is capital M, clear? Definitely this is going with certain velocity, let's suppose small v, clear? And this is at rest, wooden box is at rest, clear? Now we can say when this bullet is embedded inside this wooden box, after some time we can say this the block, we can say instantly it comes to rest with respect to block, clear? It means definitely both are moving with a common velocity. It is given in a question, bullet is coming at rest with respect to this wooden box. It means there is a two possibility, either bullet will come to rest, number one thing, and because this is already at rest, or it may be possibility that this box as well as this bullet both will move with a common velocity, so that we can say relative velocity of bullet with respect to this wooden box, it will come out to be 0, clear? So let's suppose I am saying this is v. So from here we can apply directly, say momentum conservation. This is very standard question. So I can say we can write like this, m plus capital M, this is v dash, clear? M plus m, this is v, clear? V, yes. So from here I can see, let's try to understand what is the next question. The block is suspended from ceiling by a means of a thin wire. It means let's suppose this is connected by a thin wire like this. Calculate the height to which block rises. Okay, it means now let us try to understand. First hour we will apply here momentum conservation, and after that definitely this will move. Let's suppose after some time this block come to this position. For example, I am just drawing, clear? And let's suppose from here to here, let's suppose total height that is gained by this block, that is h. So first I apply here momentum conservation, then I can apply here energy conservation. Why? Because this block is moving under the influence of gravity, and gravitational force is a conservative force. Whenever conservative forces are acting, we can apply conservation of mechanical energy, clear? So first I am saying m into v, this is given 0.012, velocity given 70, total mass, clear? Capital mass is given 0.4, so I can say 0.412, clear? And let's suppose velocity, combined velocity is v, clear? From here I can say v, this is given by 0.012 into 70 divided by 0.412, clear? Now from here I can say, if we remove this one, this is 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 3, this one and this one cancel out, clear? So from here we can say this is 12, and we can say this is 0.412, clear? So now we can solve it like this. Yes, velocity v, this is given by 12 multiply 70, and this is 412, clear? So now we can say, let's suppose if we assume this is approximately 400, for example I am saying, clear? I am saying let's suppose this is approximately 400, clear? So I can say 70 divided by 400, clear? This one is 12, clear? So I can say this one and this one cancelled out, I can say this is 3, clear? So from here we can say 21 by 10, so I can say approximately 2.1 meter per second, clear? It means combined velocity that I am getting here, this is 2.1 meter per second, clear to everyone? Yes. Now so always keep in mind this velocity we have 2.1 meter per second, clear? Now next we have to find at what height this block will move on, clear? So definitely I can say we can apply here conservation of mechanical energy. I am assuming this capital H, clear? So directly we can say the kinetic energy of this system, is actually utilizing in potential energy of this block, that is mgh. It is converting into potential energy, clear? So we can say total mass we will take capital M plus m, and this is small g h, clear? This one and this one cancelled out, clear? So what is our objective? Calculate the height, means we can write like this, h, this is given by v square by 2g, clear? So can we calculate height? Yes. V is given to you 2.1, so 2.1 into 2.1 divided by 2 into 10, clear? From here we can say this is 4.41 divided by 2 into 10, I can say approximately this is 2.2, and finally you can say here 0.22 meter height that you are getting, clear? Now next objective in this question we have, calculate the amount of heat produced in a block. So how we will calculate total amount of heat produced. For that one, here first we find initial kinetic energy and final kinetic energy, and after that I can say that change in kinetic energy is actually dissipated in a form of heat. So initial kinetic energy, I can say half m 0.012 into V square. V is given to you 70 into 70, and final kinetic energy I can say 1 by 2, we can say 4.12, clear? I mean 0.412 and multiply 2.1 into 2.1, clear? Now you can say, sir, here you are not taking capital M mass. Yes, because initially we are assuming actually that box, wooden box, is at rest, clear? Now, so from here you can say, if we find here change in kinetic energy, definitely some energy is lost in the form of heat. So I can say, I can write like this is K initial minus K final, clear? So now I can say I am taking here half common, 0.012 into 70 into 70 and minus I can say 0.412 into 2.1 into 2.1, clear? So from here you can say we can write like this is 1000, clear, and this is also 1000, clear? So from here we can say this one and this one cancel out, this one and this one cancel out, clear? So definitely you can solve this problem, clear? Just you have to multiply and subtract it, clear? I am telling you an approximate result, that you will get here. Approximation, I am saying here change in kinetic energy you will find near about 25 to 30 joule, clear? You will find answer in the form of 25 to 30 joule range, clear? You can easily calculate out, clear? So calculation is important, no doubt, but in any competitive examination, if you are appearing, you will find all the data like this, the problem will be very easy, clear? But here in NCERT, actually the problem is given to you in some complications, but no problem, you can take approximation, and if you are getting your answer near about the answer, clear, it means definitely you are correct, clear? So here you will find total amount of heat that is ghost in the form of heat, that is near about 25 to 30 joule, clear? So this is all about this question. Now dear student, we are going to solve question number 6.25, and in this question it is given to you, we have to incline frictionless track. To incline frictionless track are given to you, one is gradual and other steep, meet at a point A from where two stones are allowed to slide down from rest, clear? So first let us try to understand this problem. In this problem it is given initially these two we can say these two, what is given to you, stones. These two stones are initially at position A, this is given to you. Now they are going they are moving in a downward direction on an inclined plane by two different planes, clear? And one is reaching at point B and the other one is reaching at point C, clear? Now it is also given, will the stone reach the bottom at the same time? So first we have to compare the total time taken by these stones to reach it at the ground, clear? Will the time is same or the time is different, clear? So first what can we do here? Let's suppose it is given here in the diagram, the total height is h, vertical height is h, clear? You can see this height is h, that is small h, clear? Now first we will try to analyze what are the forces that is acting here. So definitely we can say gravitational force is acting, that is mg, but we are interested here in acceleration. So I can say I am taking here this is g. So if I take here two components, one component in the direction of an inclined plane, other one is perpendicular. So I can say if this is a theta 1, I can say this one is also theta 1, clear? So from here we can say, here we have a component g cos theta 1, I can say here we have g sin theta 1, clear to everyone? So let's suppose a stone that is moving from A to B is taking a time t1, clear? Time t1, and let's suppose this is taking time t2, clear? So if we talk about acceleration on this stone number 2, again I can say here this is acting g sin of theta 2, I can say g sin of theta 2, clear? So now I am applying here equation of motion, because acceleration acting here, this is constant. So I can write like this as AB, this is given by u t1 plus half of a t1 square. Now initial velocity, because particle starting stone starting from rest, I can say this is 0 plus 1 by 2. I can say this is g sin theta 1 and we can say this is t1 square. Clear? So we can say total distance covered. So how can we calculate total distance? Now you can say, let's suppose if I say this is d. So ABD, or we can say ADB is a right angle triangle. So from here we can find value of sin theta. Clear? So I can say here sin theta 1. Sin theta 1 is given by h upon AB. So from here I can calculate value of AB. So I can say this is h upon sin of theta 1. Clear? So from here I can write value of t1 square. So value of t1 square, this is given by h upon, I can say this is twice h upon g sin square theta 1. Clear? So what is value of t1? I can say value of t1, this is given by 1 upon sin theta 1 under root of 2h by g. Clear? Similarly you can calculate for value t2. Clear? So for t2 you will find here value, this is 1 upon sin, t2 is related to angle sin theta 2 under root of 2h by g. Now from here you can see h and g and 2, this is a constant. Clear? Now what about theta 1? So from this diagram we can see definitely theta 2 is greater than theta 1, or you can say AC plane, AC inclined plane is more steep compared to AB. Clear? So when theta 2 is more, definitely sin theta 2 is also more. Clear? It means I can say here time taken by 1, it will be more compared to T2. Clear? Or it's just a general logic. Clear? If we have more inclination, definitely stone will come in a less time. Clear? So I can say here definitely stone that is going from A to C, it will reach it first compared to B. Clear to everyone? So one thing is clear to us. Second, they are asking to us, will they reach there with the same speed? Clear? So for the speed, what we can say? Now here we can say when this is a frictionless surface, it means there is no non-conservative forces are acting. So when non-conservative forces are not acting here, I can say we can apply conservation of mechanical energy, or directly you can say at point A, actually this is at a height from h, at a height h from ground. So I can say here potential energy is converting into kinetic energy. Clear? So I can also write like this, that mgh, this should be equal to half of m v1 square, here half of m v square. Clear? From here you can say m and m cancel out and v is given by under root of 2gh. Now you can see in this we are not getting any term of theta. Clear? It means I can say value of g or h is same for both the inclined plane. Clear? It means I can say directly I can say v1 equal to v2. It means this is clear to us that both we can say yes, stone that is on the inclined plane AC, it will reach it first, no problem. But what about velocity? Whatever may be the stone, whatever may be inclined plane, both will reach with the same speed at the ground. Clear? So I can say v1 equal to v2, but t1 is greater than t2. So we calculate here value of v1 first? Yes. So directly we can say v, it is given by under root of 2gh. Clear? I am taking value of g, that is 10. Clear? H value is also given, this is 10. Clear? So from here I can see this is given by 10 under root 2 or 10 multiply 1.41. So I can say this is 14.1 meter per second. Clear? So both stone reaches at the ground with the speed 14.1 meter per second. Clear to everyone? Yes. But if I talk about total time taken, so I can put here values in this formulas. T1 value we can say 1 upon sin theta 1. Sin theta 1 is given to you sin 30 under root of 2. H is given, that is 10 divided by 10. We can say this is cancelled out. Clear? From here we can say sin 30 equal to half, 2 will goes to numerator. So from here we can say value of T1 we are getting 2 under root 2 second. Clear everyone? But what about next time T2 we can say here we can say 1 upon sin value of theta 2, this is given to in a question 60 degree. So this is 60 under root of I can say 2, this is 10 divided by 10, this one is cancelled out. Clear? Sin 60 is given under root of 3 by 2. So I can say this is equal to 2 root 2 divided by root 3. Clear? This is under root 3 by 2. I can say 2 root 2 divided by root 3 second. Clear? So like this we can calculate total time taken by both the stone to reach a ground. Clear? As well as total speed of both stone when we reaches to ground. Clear? So I think concept is clear to you, as well as this is a perfect solution of this question. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to discuss question number 6.26, and in this question it is given to you a 1 kilogram block situated on a rough incline is connected to a spring constant 100 Newton per meter as shown in a figure. Fine. The block is released from rest with spring in unstretched position, and the block move 10 cm down the inclined plane before coming to rest. Clear? So now let us try to understand this situation. Actually, what is given in a question, if you understand the question, then this question is very easy for you. A 1 kilogram block is given. This is placed on a rough inclined plane. Inclination angle is given 37 degree, and it is also given value of K given 100 Newton per meter. Fine. The block is released from rest. Clear? Block is released from rest. That's fine. With spring is unstretched position. When spring is unstretched position, the block move 10 cm down the inclined plane before coming to rest. Always remember, whenever we are actually releasing a block and that block is connected to a spring and that block is coming to rest, it means I can say at the time this block is at its extreme position. Yes or no? Clear? So when this block is at extreme position, at the time we can say velocity is 0 but acceleration is maximum. Okay. So now we can say we have to find coefficient of friction between block and inclined plane. First let us try to understand forces acting on this block. I can say here one force is acting mg, you know very well. Clear? Here we can say this angle we have theta. So I can say this is mg cos 37 and I can say this is mg sine of 37. Clear to everyone? This is mg sine 37. Clear? From here we can say here we have reaction, that is R, and we can say this is friction, that is F. So this is value of friction F. Clear? Now we can say in this question we have R. This R is equal to mg cos of 37. Clear? Mg cos of 37. Clear? And we can say how can we write value of friction? Friction can be written like this. This is mu times of n. Clear? Mu. Value of n, or we can say normal reaction. Clear? You can also write like this. This is capital N. Clear? So I can say this can be written like this is mg cos of 37. Clear? So if I write here what is net force acting in a downward direction. Clear? So net force I can say this mg sin 37 is acting in downward direction and friction force is acting in upward direction. So mg sin 37 minus I can say mu mg cos of 37. Clear? So from here I can say I am taking mg common. Clear? This is sin 37 minus mu cos of 37. Clear everyone? So from here we can say this is net force. Clear? Now important part is here, our objective here is to calculate coefficient of friction. Clear? Now important concept we have, let's suppose I am assuming this block is moving at a distance x. Clear? And x is a distance from the position where we are releasing this block as well as the maximum extreme or the extreme position up to which this block is going. Clear? So we can say what is work done by the net force. Can we write here? Yes. So we can write like this: net work done. This net work done, net work is to be done by this net force. This is actually stored as a potential energy of that spring. Clear? This is a concept. And you know here actually we can say the friction force is acting. Clear? So how can we write here net work done? Net work done I can say this is equal to mg sine of 37 minus mu cos of 37. Clear? And we can say this is net force, and let's suppose total distance covered is x and I can say this is equal to 1 by k x square. Clear? From here you can say x and x is cancelled out. Clear? Now I can say value of m. Value of m we have 1 and g value I am taking 10. So 10 sine 37. Clear? So we know one triangle, right angle triangle. This angle is, let's suppose, 37. Clear? So I can say this is 3, 4 and 5. Clear? So sine 37 we have, that is 3 by 5 minus mu. Cos 37 we have 4 by 5 and this is equal to 1 by 2. Value of k we have 100 and this is x. Clear? From here we can say this one and this one cancelled out. We can say this one we have 5. So value of x, I can say this is equal to 3 minus 4 mu divided by 5. Clear? This is value of x and we can say this is divided by 1 by 5. Clear? It is given here that this block moved 10 centimeter down. So I can say this is equal to 0.1. Clear? So from here you can write like this, 3 minus 4 times of mu, this is equal to 25 multiplied 0.1. So I can say this is 2.5. Clear? So I can say this is 4 mu and this is 3 minus 2.5. Clear? So from here we can say value of mu. Value of mu, this is given by 0.5 divided by 4 and I can say 0.1 and we can say here we have 5. So we can say here coefficient of friction we are getting 0.125. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now we are going to solve question number 6.27 and in this question it is given to you a bolt of mass 0.3 kilogram falls from the ceiling of an elevator moving down with a uniform speed of 7 meter per second. Clear? It hits the floor of an elevator and does not rebound. Clear? So first let us try to understand this situation. Let's suppose here we have this elevator. Clear? From here let's suppose here we have a bolt. Clear? And this bolt is falling and it is striking to the surface, or we can say on the floor of this elevator. Clear? And actually it is moving with uniform speed, elevator moving with uniform speed, that is given to you 7 meter per second. Clear? And mass of this bolt is given, this is 0.3 kilogram. Okay. It hits the floor of elevator and does not rebound. Okay, fine. What is heat produced by impact? First, let us try to understand when this elevator is going with a uniform speed. It means we can say net force, or we can say net force is equal to 0. Why? Because uniform speed is given. It means we can say acceleration is 0. Acceleration 0 means net force is 0. Or you can understand it like this. If we observe from non-inertial frame, definitely we can say there is no change in the acceleration of this bolt. Clear? Or we can say acceleration acting on this bolt, this is equal to g meter per second square. Clear everyone? Clear? Let's suppose this lift or this elevator move with some acceleration a in a downward direction. At the time we should apply here one pseudo force in upward direction, and I can say net effective g, that is given by g minus a. Clear? So but here we have uniform speed, so I can say acceleration is here g meter per second square. Clear? Now you can say actually when this bolt is falling and it is striking to this floor and again is not rebounding, it means all the potential energy of this bolt is converting into heat. Clear? So I can directly say potential energy, that is converting into heat. So what is value of potential energy? Potential energy is given by mgh. Clear? Value of m we have 0.3, value of capital G, that is 10, and what is value of h? Value of h, that is given to you 3. Clear? So from here we can say this is 0.9 and multiplied with 10. So I can say this is 9 joule. Clear? So I can say total amount of heat produced here, this is 9 joule. Clear? Would your answer be different if elevator was stationary? No, because again if elevator is stationary, again there is no change in the acceleration due to gravity, again we will get same answer. Clear? So this is all about this question. Now dear student, we are going to discuss question number 6.28, and in this question it is given to you a trolley of mass 200 kilogram. Clear? So let's suppose I am assuming this is a trolley. Let's suppose this is a trolley. Clear? And in this question it is given a trolley of mass 200 kilogram move with a uniform speed. So let's suppose I am drawing trolley like this. Let's suppose this is trolley, clear? And it is given in a question a trolley of mass 200 kilograms. So let's suppose I am taking mass capital M. This is 200 kilogram. It move with the uniform speed 36 kilometer per hour. I am taking it V, clear? So I am saying this is V, clear, and having mass capital M. Okay, fine. A child on a mass 20 kilogram. So I am taking this is small m, clear? That is 20 kilogram runs on a trolley from one end to other end 10 meter away with a speed of 4 meter per second relative to the trolley, clear? So let's suppose here we have a child, clear? This child is moving in this direction with certain velocity. Let's suppose I am taking this is small v, clear? And let's suppose it reaches up to this point, clear? And that distance is 10 meter, clear? And it is given it a direction opposite to motion and jumps out of a trolley. What is final speed of a trolley? Okay. So dear student, if I first consider this child and this trolley as a system, can I write here initial momentum? Yes. Initial momentum we can say this is capital M plus small m and it is multiplied with this capital V, clear? So capital M is given 20. Mass of this child, this is given to you a child of mass 20 and this is 200, clear? So this is 200 plus 20 and multiplied with V, clear? V is given to you in 36 kilometer per hour. You can convert into meter per second. I can say this is equal to 36 into 5 by 18. You can say this is 10 meter per second. So I can say this one is 10. From here you can say you are getting 2200. This is Newton meter, clear? So initial momentum is given to you 2200 Newton meter, clear to everyone? Now if I talk about final momentum, clear? So now let us try to understand. It is given in a question that this child is having speed 4 meter per second with respect to trolley, clear? So first I am writing here velocity of a child with respect to trolley. So I can say this is equal to velocity of child with respect to ground minus velocity of trolley with respect to ground, clear? Now let's suppose with this child move from this end to this end and then jump out, clear? So at that time we can say this value is given to you 4. Now dear student, we are going to solve this question number 6.29 and in this question it is given to you which of the following potential energy curve in figure cannot possibly describe the elastic collision of two billiard balls, and here r is the distance between center of balls, clear? So dear student, if I am talking about collision of two balls and for a short interval of time, now we know at the time kinetic energy of both the balls is converting into potential energy, clear? Although we can say if we have elastic collision, then before collision and after collision total kinetic energy of the system that always remains conserved, clear, or constant, clear? So now we can say if we talk about potential energy versus R graph, clear? So let's suppose we have two balls. Let's suppose we have two balls and two balls are situated at a distance r. We can say its potential energy is actually varying inversely proportional to r, clear? So from here given all the figure you can see only fifth curve we are getting that is hyperbolic in nature, clear? And we know after some time we can say as the collision is completed, again this is converting into kinetic energy. It means out of 6 only we can say part number 5 or we can say this graph number 5 is correct, other all are wrong, clear? So this is all about this question. Now student, we are going to solve question number 6.30 and in this question it is given to you the decay of a free neutron at rest. This is given n is actually breaking in proton and electron. Show that two body decay of this type must necessarily give an electron of fixed energy and therefore cannot account for observed continuous energy distribution in beta decay of a neutron, clear? So my dear student, actually this question is related to nuclei. In modern physics actually this is related to nuclear physics, clear? But I am just telling you the solution of this question in a very simplified manner. Actually we can say here neutron is actually breaking in proton and electron, clear? And actually we can see the energy, that energy is actually relating, we can say energy that is given by delta mc square, clear? And here we can say this delta m, we know this is a mass defect. Mass defect is actually we can say this is mass of neutron minus mass of proton minus mass of electron, clear, and due to this mass defect we are getting the amount of some energy, clear to everyone. So now we can say for a given this equation we can say the value of this E, this is a constant, clear. So whenever we have a fixed energy, whenever we have a fixed energy, at the time definitely we can say the electron that is going outside, that is also having a fixed energy, clear. It means we can say here we cannot get a continuous distribution curve, clear everyone, clear to everyone. Yes. So now we can say actually if you write here this equation, this can be written like this. Actually there were a scientist that Pauli that actually denotes that here we have another particle that also emitted, that is known as neutrino, clear, and this neutrino particle is actually neutral, clear. So that thing you will learn in the chapter nuclei of class 12th, clear, that will be discussed there in more detail, clear. So this is all about this question. So dear student, this is all about all NCERT and exercise question solutions related to chapter number 6, work, energy and power, clear. So hope you enjoyed all the sessions, and like this we are actually bringing you the solutions of each and every question of and exercise of NCERT, clear. So here we are providing you a detailed solution as well as the concept behind that question, so that with your question your theory it will be becoming strong, clear. So this is all about this chapter. Thank you so much.